The Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, BTZD Clothing, and the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast, the Parramatta Times.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to the Paracave Podcast. And it is Team List Tuesday, which was released a few hours ago, all the teams for round 4. But it is the tipping podcast, and look, last week was a pretty successful week. 7 out of 8 I got correct. Now, did you follow my tips and also get 7 out of 8, or did you get a perfect round and get 8 out of 8? The only game I missed out on was the Tigers game, who defeated the Sharks pretty convincingly at Leichhardt Oval. So Benji Marshall getting his first win as an NRL coach. And just shows you that you don't have to be a 24/7 coach to win an NRL game. So congratulations to Benji and the Tigers on winning that game. I hope you celebrated like you did in the sheds. But hopefully this week you will not be celebrating this week in the sheds, as you are playing the Parramatta Eels on their traditional Easter Monday game. But the round kicks off on a Thursday night at 8 p.m. at Allianz Stadium. The Roosters, second place Roosters, take on the Premiers, the Penrith Panthers, who find themselves in 4th position at the moment on the ladder. Now, look, let's go through. Let's have a look at the home side first. The Roosters and Lindsay Collins and Sandon Smith are out. I believe Sandon's got a elbow injury and could be out for 3 to 6 weeks, which is a blow for them and him, as well as he replaced Luke Keary last week, with Luke suffering from that HIA concussion, the 11-day stand down. He is back for this game at 5/8 with Sam Walker at halfback as well. The Roosters having that big win against arch rivals, the South Sydney Rabbitohs. And look, they are playing some pretty good footy at the moment. They've only lost one game, and that was to the Manly Sea Eagles at Brookvale Oval only a couple of weeks ago. So they are playing some good footy. Dom Young looks like he's slotted into that side pretty well. James Tedesco, he's turning back the clock a little bit. He's having a great start to the season. A lot of people had him not playing State of Origin this year, but after last year's series. But this year he's really come back. He's come back firing. He's in form. He will be the first player picked at the moment in State of Origin. So he's one to watch. Sam Walker had a great game last week. Jared Warrior-Hargraves, he had celebrated his 300th game in the NRL, the prop, so congratulations to JWH, magnificent effort there. And look, not many front rowers have played 300 games, I don't think, so it's a massive effort from JWH, and if he keeps on playing week in, week out, he will become the longest serving ever Roosters player. Also in this side as well, Victor Radley at lock. That'll be a great clash against Isaiah Yeo, who captains the side for the Panthers this week. And we'll get to that side shortly. Connor Watson as well had a great game last week against South Sydney, scoring a try. First time in about 18 months or so, coming back from a patella injury, I believe it was. So great to see Connor back and in that number 14 jersey. To the Penrith side, massive outs So the news broke, I think it was on Sunday night, Monday morning, that Nathan Cleary had suffered a hamstring injury. Now this is the other side hamstring to the one that he suffered last year against the Dragons, which saw him out for 6 or 7 weeks last year. This one, they're looking at potentially 4 weeks. Most of the media outlets came out and said 4 weeks. Ivan Cleary today saying possibly 1, 2. We're just going to see how he goes. So, but still a massive out for the Panthers up against this near full strength Roosters side, that's for sure. And as I said, Isaiah Yeo captains the side. Lindsay Smith comes in for JWH. James Fisher-Harris, JFH, who has got a shoulder injury, I think it is, after a collision with RCG in round 2. No structural damage, so that's good news, but he won't play. Scott Sorensen is out, so another loss for the Panthers there. With Nathan Cleary out, Brad Schneider, who used to play for the Canberra Raiders, played in England last year, has come back from England to play in the Panthers side, obviously to be the second string halfback in this side. And look, what a smart buy that was from the Panthers to get Brad to the club, because now he is needed to partner Jerome Luai in the halves for this game and a few more weeks potentially. So good buy there from the Panthers. Look, the biggest inclusion, I think, in this side, and he's got famous Penrith initials, Maverick Geyer. So the son of big Mark Geyer, MG. So Maverick also a MG as well. So congratulations to Maverick on making his NRL debut off the interchange bench, number 17. So great to see another Geyer name in rugby league, in first grade for Penrith. And I know that Dad Mark is very proud and emotional, I guess. He will be on Thursday night. No doubt he'll be definitely out at Allianz Stadium on Thursday night. But we spoke about it a little bit in the podcast chat that I had with Mark a few weeks ago now. So that has now come true, and Maverick is going to make his debut for Penrith. So all the best, Maverick, in your first game. Look, I'm going to tip the Roosters in this game, and look, as I said, Nathan Cleary is a massive out. Jerome Luai is going to have to step it up and in this game and run the team around. Brad Schneider will just be a backup to Jerome, so it's Jerome's team this week. But yeah, I'm going to tip the Roosters in this game, simply because it's at Allianz Stadium. It's a near full strength side, and the Roosters are playing some good footy as well. The next game is a traditional Good Friday game, the Rabbitohs versus the Bulldogs. Now, look, the Rabbitohs, they are what I think, a club in crisis. They are currently positioned last on the ladder, but they go into to this game as favourites against the Bulldogs, who had a good win last week against the Gold Coast Titans, which they would have gained some confidence in winning that game, but they need to take that into this game against South, because they don't want to be 1 week wonders and win that game, get that confidence, but not turn it on Good Friday. Now, this is played at Accor Stadium, the home ground of both these sides, so not really a home and away side. These two teams do play out of there every other week. And look, South Sydney, they're a bit of a club in a bit of trouble at the moment. A few issues on the field, off the field. Still no Lachlan Ilias. He is on the reserves bench, which I guess is fair enough, because you need to give Dean Hawkins a couple of weeks at halfback there to show show us what he can do. Cody Walker in the 5'8" position. Second game for Jack Whiten in the centres. Latrell Mitchell at fullback. A few questions been asked about whether fullback is his best position. And so, look, Damien Cook has been named at hooker. Last week he started off the bench. But Shaq Mitchell comes into this side on the reserves bench. And Sean Keppie drops off. So he's missed out on a spot in this side after playing the first 3 games. And for the Bulldogs, look, pretty much the same side as last week and pretty much the same side as what they've had for the first 3 weeks. So a little bit of settlement there, which is a good thing. I think, anyway, because if you have the same players in the team week in, week out, you get to know each other, you get those combinations happening, and it's pretty important with a team that's had a lot of changes, a lot of newcomers to that team. But, look, as I said, didn't have the best of starts against Parramatta in round 1. Improved against the Sharks. Didn't get the win. And then last week against the Titans, absolutely smashed them at Belmore in multicultural round. So, look, this one's going to be an interesting game. South need a win to get back on track. The Bulldogs, they want to keep that confidence and that winning feeling around. It is Easter time. Look, I've always said, I don't know, it might be just a little bit of a hoodoo thing or whatever, but I think the Easter Bunnies, the Rabbitohs, they can get the win out against the Bulldogs. Might be a close game. I think the Bulldogs might give it to them, but it might be a close game. But I'm gonna go to the South Sydney Rabbitohs, purely because I think they need to get their season back on track and get a win. That's not to say the Bulldogs will be easy beats, but they do go into this game as favourites, the Rabbitohs, and it is Easter time, so I've got to support the Bunnies at Easter. So South Sydney for me to get their season off to a winning way on Good Friday. The second game on Friday night sees a Queensland derby between the Broncos and the Cowboys. Now, these two teams have some crackerjack games against each other, some very close games here and there, only a field goal here and there in the past, so this game may not be any different. Big out for the Brisbane Broncos. Reece Walsh, obviously with that broken cheekbone last week against Penrith. Tristan Saylor, son of Wendell, comes in as fullback. So, look, he's got some speed as well. And, look, he's no Reece Walsh, but he can certainly play a little bit like him. But he's no Reece Walsh. But a pretty handy replacement for Reece. And breaking news today that this evening anyway, just before I recorded this podcast, so you probably already know it anyway, but Reece Walsh has signed a 5-year deal with the Broncos, the richest Broncos deal in history, apparently. $5.5 million, so $1.1 million a year to stay at the Broncos for the next 5 years. So congratulations to him. Big in for the Broncos. Adam Reynolds is back as captain and halfback. So yeah, a big in for them. Corey Oates plays his first NRL game this season for the Broncos, and he's been named on the interchange bench. Now, he's been named not as a winger, but as a forward on the bench. So, be interesting to see where he goes. Probably in the back row as well when he comes on. But for the Cowboys, well, look, they are in red-hot form at the moment. They're leading the comp. They are putting on a lot of points on a few teams that they played. Most recently, the Dragons. They put 40 points on them. They put 40 points on the Dolphins in round 1. They got away with a 1-point victory over the Newcastle Knights. So they are playing some pretty good footy at the moment. They want to get back into that top 8 this year come semi-final time. So at the moment, they're doing everything right. So no changes to their side, so that's, as I said before, that's pretty a good settling thing there. Not many changes, so everyone knows their own combinations. But look, this is going to be a crackerjack game. This potentially, I think, could be the game of the round. The Broncos and the Cowboys. Well, the Roosters and Panthers at the start there, that might be a good one as well. But I think this Broncos-Cowboys game could be the game of the round at Suncorp on Friday night. I'm going to tip the Broncos just, and I think that's because it's at home. Adam Reynolds is back. They do have that big loss in Reece Walsh, but I think only just. This could be another 1-point game. That could be an Adam Reynolds decided field goal that gets them across the line. So, look, I'm going to tip, as good as the Cowboys are playing, I think I'm going to tip the Broncos in this one by 1 point. There you go. 1 point Broncos. First game on Saturday, 5:30 p.m. No Saturday 3 p.m. game due to the Easter Monday game this weekend. So the first game on Saturday is at 5:30 p.m. Sees the Dragons take on the Sea Eagles at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. So the Dragons, they had a loss against the Cowboys last week. They actually played pretty good for about 25 minutes or so. They had the chance to go to 24-6, but unfortunately a knock-on over the line for Taylor Mariner and a bomb try there. But they were looking pretty good, the Dragons. But they scored some points late, but the Cowboys just overtook them and got the victory there. Francis Molo comes back into the side, which is good for them. Jaden Sewer comes back as well. So some big middles there. Jacob Little also comes back into that hooker position as well. So Jesse Marshke goes onto the bench in the interchange role there. Jack DeBellum back to the interchange bench as well. And for the Sea Eagles, they have an unchanged side that went down to Parramatta 28 points to 24 at CommBank Stadium last Sunday. So they have been one of the form teams of the competition in this first month, I think. Luke Brooks, he's found a new lease of life at Manly in the 5/8 role, playing next to Daly Cherry Evans, the captain. So they have been one of the form teams at the moment. Look, they've got plenty of strike. They can score some points. They showed that last week against Parramatta, and they nearly got away with the win, except for that controversial call of the no try to Kula after the Tom Trbojevic break, due to Jake Trbojevic going into the line there and denying Luca Moretti a chance to get over to Tommy Turbo. Look, would he have got over there? Maybe, probably not, but the rules are the rules, and Jake did stop in the line, so it was ruled no try. So, look, starting side, the same. The Dragons, they can be a little bit up and down. I know Flano, he'll hate for hearing me tip against his side. They have been competitive in periods of games, and I'm sure he would probably agree. But I'm going to tip the Sea Eagles in this game to get back on track. They are favourites in this game, so I'm going to tip the Sea Eagles to get the win. Another Queensland derby on Saturday night, 7:35 p.m. at Seabus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. Sees the Titans take on the Dolphins. Well, the Titans, they are really struggling as well at the moment, and the news just did not get any better for them, with a big prop and captain Tino Fasul Malawi doing an ACL and out for the season. So massive news there for the Gold Coast Titans and Queensland and Australia as well. So disappointing news for them. So it gets a little bit tougher. Look, they were never in the game last week against the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs just ran over the top of them at Belmore Oval. They had the bye in round 2 and they got done by the Dragons in round 1. So, look, they are coming 16th on the ladder at the moment, just above the South Sydney Rabbitohs. They go in as outsiders in this game. They do get Jaden Campbell back at fullback, so that's a good thing for them. And a good thing for them, obviously, Jaden is a pretty exciting player there at fullback. And AJ Brimson in the centres there, obviously vying for those two fullbacks, or that fullback spot. But AJ has been playing in the centres all year. Keenan Palacia comes into the proposition for Big Tino, and look, I think for the Dolphins, Jared Wallace is out. Ray Stone returns onto the interchange bench after concussion protocols, I think it was. So he comes back on the interchange bench, and look. Hamaso Tabuai-Fidow, he'll be one to watch obviously in this game as well. Can score a try or two. He's great to watch in open space. Herbie Farnworth, he's found some a new home there. The centres for the Dolphins. He's enjoying his football there. Jake Averillo, he gets another start at centre after missing round 1. And the halves, Cody Nikorima and Isaiah Katoa. So, captained by Jesse Bromwich. So, look, this is going to be an interesting one. I just think that the Titans are struggling a lot at the moment, so I'm going to go the Dolphins in this one to get the victory there. Sunday, first game at 4 o'clock at Go Media Stadium over there in Auckland, sees a replay of last year's semi-final between the Warriors and the Knights, and we all remember what happened there last year. It was 40 points to 10 in favour of the Warriors on that night, although earlier in that year, last year, the Knights got the win over the Warriors. So, pretty close head-to-head as well. The Warriors obviously go into this game as favourites to win this game, being played over there in New Zealand. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck goes back to fullback. Adam Pompey comes into the centre position. And Murata Niokore comes back onto the bench. Dylan Walker's back on the interchange bench as well. So, good to see Murata back on the interchange bench. One of my favourite players when he was at Parramatta. But I love watching him play as well. Luke Metcalf scored a try last week. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak set that try up. So, he's playing some alright footy at the moment. Now, for the Newcastle Knights, Leo Thompson is out suspended. Now, this is a pretty sort of controversial one, I think. It's a one-match ban for a challenge on Ryan Pappenhausen in the air. Ryan landed awkwardly on the ground. Thankfully, he's okay and will be playing this week. But, look, this is a controversial one. Yes, you can't tackle anyone in the air. But no, Leo was looking up at the ball. It was a bomb put up. He was running towards the ball. He was looking up. And look, the speed that you're running, these sort of collisions are going to happen. And look, there's no malice in it. There's no malice in it at all. He's just simply trying to compete for the football. And unfortunately, it didn't work for him. People have said, what happens if Paps put his leg out or his knee come in contact with Leo's face? What would have happened there? But look, I think Leo's been very hard done by there. I think he should be playing this week, and I'm sure Newcastle fans will agree with me on that one. But he's taken the one-match ban, so a week off for Leo. Mitch Barnett plays against his old club. So we all know players love playing against their old club. now over at the New Zealand Warriors. Jack Cogger retains that halfback position with Jackson Hastings in the New South Wales Cup. Apparently had 5 try assists last week in the New South Wales Cup, so he is certainly showing that he is worth a first grade position. So if he can keep that form up, and he may find his spot back in this Newcastle side at the moment. Obviously, a lot of pressure on Kalen Ponga as well. That's why he get paid the big bucks. He's the captain. He's a creative one. He's the one that the opposition needs to look out for. Much like when Brisbane play and players have got to watch out for Reece Walsh on the opposition. But Kalen's the same as well, so he'll be an integral part of this Newcastle side. I'm just going to tip the New Zealand Warriors. They are favourites in this game. It is in New Zealand. A few changes, but not too many. I think they're the more settled of these two sides, so I'm going to tip the New Zealand Warriors in that one. The Sharks and Raiders are up next at 6:15 PM, PointsBet Stadium in Sydney, Cronulla's home ground. The Sharks find themselves in 10th position after starting the season pretty well, 2 out of 2, and then losing last week to the Tigers, which they'll be mostly disappointed about, considering where the Tigers were on the ladder and the way that the Sharks were going. The Raiders find themselves in 3rd position, playing some pretty good footy. They didn't get a win last week against the Warriors over there in New Zealand. Always tough to get a win there, but got a win in the first 2 rounds when many people thought they may be down the bottom of the ladder. So they're playing some pretty good footy at the moment. And look, it's Jordan Rapana's 200th appearance for the Canberra Raiders. He's also played for the Gold Coast Titans as well. 200th game for the Raiders for Jordan, so congratulations to him. Look, very interesting one here. Nearly $3 million of talent with 500 games between them out of this side this week. Dale Finucane, Royce Hunt and Toby Rudolph. So there's a lot of money tied up in those players there. They're out this week, so sees a bit of a shift. Kyle Ito comes into the side, so an exciting youngster. I know my fellow rugby league podcaster, the Rugby League Guru, has big raps on this kid, and he is playing centre this week because Sifa Talakai has been shifted to the second row due to these forward injuries, so he finds himself back in the back row. Tom Hazelton sees him in a starting position this week. Usually he comes off the bench. So he finds himself starting this week. Good player, Tom. I really like him, the way he plays. He's got the headband around there. Bit of a cult hero, becoming a bit of a cult hero down there at Shark Park. For the Raiders, look, no real changes there. Sebastian Chris comes back into the side. And Jamal Fogarty and Ethan Strange are the half 5'8", which they started the year there. Elliot Whitehead had his first run last week, so he'll be better for that one. Look at Zach Hosking on the bench. He's been playing some good footy. Look, this is a hard one to tip. I think. Yeah, look, the Sharks go into this game as favourites. It is at Shark Park. I'm going to tip a little bit of an upset here. I'm going to go the Raiders in this game. I think they just may get the win. They've been playing, I guess, probably a little bit better football than the Sharks at the moment. The Sharks were woeful last week against the Tigers. Jordan Rapana's 200th game for the Raiders. I know they'll want to stand up for his 200th appearance. James Schiller as well comes into this side on the wing, so he's been playing some great football in New South Wales Cup, scoring tries, so that's a good get for them as well on the wing position. So yeah, I'm going to tip the Raiders in this game. I think it may be a close game, maybe about an 8-point victory in this game, but I'm going to tip the Raiders in this game to get this win, and the Sharks, after starting the year, winning the first two, losing the next two. And the last game of the weekend sees the traditional game on Easter Monday, the Eels at home at CommBank Stadium taking on the West Tigers. So, look, massive news overnight. Yesterday, Mitchell Moses out with a fractured foot, so everyone was thinking, who's going to play? Who's going to play at halfback? Who's going to play at 5'8"? All day today, had messages sent to me. Who do you think? Who do you think? I think this. I think that. So there were certainly some options thrown up there as to who will play in that halfback position, or indeed in that 5'8" position, to replace Mitchell Moses, because that is a massive out. Mitchell Moses, obviously a linchpin, a kicker, goal kicker, spine player of the Parramatta Eels. So they've gone for Dylan Brown to go to halfback and Blaze Talangi to go to 5'8". Now, Blaze is a known 5'8", in the lower grades especially, then more fullback and then centre. So he has played a lot of 5'8", and he's actually playing against Lachlan Galvin from the Tigers in his third NRL game for the year. And these two partnered at each other apparently in the halves at Westfield Sports High. So a very well-known sports high school here in New South Wales. So that'll be interesting. Two youngsters going up against each other in this clash. So, look, I think that's who I would have picked as 5'8", and Dylan Brown moving to halfback. No Bailey Simonson. He's been named at number 22 on the reserves bench after that concussion from the Panthers game. Interesting to see if he will get a start. I don't think he will. I don't think Brad Arthur likes to change the side much after he names it. Micah Sevo comes back into the side on the wing position, number 2 position, after 3 weeks out due to suspension. And look, personally, and I think a few other Parramatta fans agree with me, I would have put him through New South Wales Cup and probably put Bailey on the wing. And the only reason I would have done that is for disciplinary reasons. We saw last year Parramatta suffered a lot, 22 weeks I think it was in suspensions. Some of that due to discipline on and off the field, but Micah got suspended from a trial game. So, look, I would have put him through New South Wales Cup, not straight back into the side. Obviously, maybe a Brad Arthur favourite. Look, he is a fan favourite as well. Does have a lot of fans. Can score a try or two at CommBank Stadium as well. So I think he's up over 40 tries at CommBank Stadium in about 50 games or something like that, some ridiculous figure like that. So he's back. There is Bryce Cartwright has been named in the second row. There has been whispers and murmurs that he's got a rib injury and will be out of this clash, but he has been named at the moment. We saw last week Kelma Tuolagi dislocate his shoulder against Penrith, but then named last week against Manly and played and scored a try. So, will Bryce play? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. Look, if Bryce doesn't play, then potentially Kelma goes into that second row position, and maybe Wiramu Greg comes onto the interchange bench. That's what I can think may happen. But at this point in time, Bryce has been named. Junior Paulo has been named at number 10 starting prop. We may see that change again with Joe Offahengawi named on the interchange bench. He started last week's games, or every game this year, so we may see that again. It's been a working formula. I don't mind it, and we don't lose that go forward when RCG and Junior are off on the field at the same time. So I don't mind that change. I think it's a good one. Alex Twell, he's HIA protocol, so only the one change for the Tigers, and into his spot comes Kapoa, so on the interchange bench. Isaiah Papali'i playing against his old club at his own old home ground. As I said before, players love to play against their old club. One to watch in this game is Jareem Bulla, a excitement machine there at fullback. Scored a couple of tries last week, I think, against the Sharks. Has got some speed against with him, so he is one to watch as well. A young player. Justin Olam as well from the Melbourne Storm played his first game last week for the Tigers. Scored a try as well in the centre position and up against Morgan Harper, who moves back into the centre position. Look, I don't think you need to be Einstein to know who I'm going to tip in this game. I'm going to tip the Eels. They go into this game as favourites. It's a crucial game, and then they need to get this win. If they can get as many wins as they can whilst Mitchell Moses is out, then that will hold them in good stead for the back end of the year. So I'm going to tip the Eels in this one. Look, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to say by about 12 points in this one. And for this week, the Melbourne Storm have the bye, so they have the week off. So, just recapping the tips there. The Roosters, Rabbitohs, Broncos, Sea Eagles, Dolphins, Warriors, Raiders, and Eels. So we have 5 home teams, 3 away teams, if you're looking at it that way. And look, that's the way I'm going to go this weekend, Easter weekend. So will you follow my tips? As I said, 7 out of 8 last week. Not a bad effort. Wish it was 8 out of 8, a perfect round, but there's always an upset every week in the NRL. So last week it was the Tigers versus the Sharks, and the Tigers getting the chocolates that week. So who will be the upset this week? Who knows? I've tipped the Raiders to beat the Sharks, so maybe that could be the upset. But who knows? But let me know if you're going to follow my tips this week, and if you've got anything different, and let me know why you've got something different as well. Thank you very much for listening to the tipping podcast for round number 4 in the NRL. Stay tuned later this week as well. There will be a interview-based podcast with a Eels fan, so back to the Eels and members section of the podcast. So a massive Eels fan will be the interview for this week. Lining up some interesting podcast chats with some former players as well coming up in the next few weeks as well. So also have a listen to the interview currently out until Thursday, the David Gatt interview. He is a magnificent bloke doing great things for the Mark Hughes Foundation, so if you can, donate some cash to his cause, and the Mark Hughes Foundation as well, doing great things for brain cancer research to hopefully find a cure for brain cancer. But that's enough of me talking. There's my tips for the week. Enjoy your footy, and no doubt I will talk to you before Easter. But if I don't talk to you before Easter, have a happy Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate. I probably will. And look, I'll see you out at CommBank Stadium on Monday. Come and say good day. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your footy.
Thank Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.